I made him a lot of money over the years, so yeah, I know he doesn't want to lose me.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, on the other hand, I do admit that there's some human concern there too. You know, I mean, I know they care about me.
From both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me see if I've got a picture of where we are so far. We're really just getting started here, but what I've heard so far from you is this drug test has, first of all, caused some concerns about work. You don't want to certainly lose your job. You don't want things to get messed up there.
I don't know.
Somewhere down the line, you're thinking about having children, and at that point, you're thinking you're going to need to make some changes, at least down there, if not sooner. This has caused a little bit of friction in your marriage, which it sounds like is pretty important to you, and that's a worry to some extent. And then there also is this stepping over lines that you've set a limit for yourself, and then you've seen over the years you step over that and find a way to make that okay for yourself. And then you step over another one and find a way to make that okay for yourself, and you think, well, is this really what I want to be doing? Where's this taking me? Is this going to be okay?
Yeah.
In terms of making a change, though, in that, a worry is how would I deal with this very responsible and difficult life I have if I don't have this to help me blow it away, to get through it, to take a little vacation from it.
Absolutely.
What thoughts do you have about that, of other ways in which you might be able to deal with that level of responsibility and stress without using chemicals?
Well, whenever I've said that to anyone, like, you know, when I talked about it to my wife, or, you know, I talked to my parents about the same thing. My parents are also people who've, they're not obviously as keyed into the range of what goes on in my life as far as, you know, using drugs as my wife is, but they've always felt that I've indulged a little bit too heavily over the years too. And I mean, people like that, I know they care about me, and they're full of suggestions, and I have not really been able to incorporate any of those, you know, changes into reality. You know, I mean, they all say, well, you can blow off steam by doing this, or by doing that, or by exercising, and, you know, all these kinds of things. And I don't know, I'm almost skeptical. I am skeptical that those things can successfully take the place of what I do now. And, you know, I'm afraid of, you know, these things that I do now are part of who I am, really, in a way, and I'm a little bit reluctant to thinking about just trading them out for another whole set of things that I do just to try to keep the lid on.
Mm-hmm. You know? There are lots of people with lots of ideas about how you could do it. You're not too convinced about that. And more than that, the drugs, as you've stepped over these lines, the drugs have somehow become a part of you. And it's almost like giving up a part of yourself, in a way, to think about changing from this. It's offensive to think about that, because it's like sacrificing part of who you become.
Right, I feel like in a sense I'm not being true to myself almost with that. But the external forces want me to make those changes. And I don't want to give up what I am, who I am. You know,
that happens. And it keeps coming up, the you versus the external forces, and it's one way to think about what's happening, that there are all these folks out there trying to make you change something that is really a part of you and that you have a right to hang on to. And looking at it that way certainly then makes you want to feel like, I'm not about to give this up. I'm not about to let go of this and sacrifice this. This is mine. I'm going to keep it.
Right.
And thinking that way, then you feel entitled to what you're doing. And I've also heard from you another way of thinking about things, which is looking at this as something that maybe you would want to make a change in for your own life, for your own interests, for your own values. And I would guess that which way you're thinking about it, you would feel different ways about it. One is, damned if I'm going to give up this stuff for somebody else. And then when I hear you talk in another context, it's, maybe this really is something I need to think and do something about. But what would I do?